Good afternoon and welcome everyone. It is now 1 o'clock and we would like to welcome you for today's Hospital Inspector Certification Exam Preparation webinar. My name is Caesar and I will be your host for today. Today is February 18th and you are here for the IOR certification code/plans. This is the second part of the architectural portion of the 5-part series, if you will. We've provided handouts for your use in the go-to webinar handout section in PDF format. We've provided today's presentation. We provided a tips from the experts, a guide for working under OSHPD's projects under OSHPD's jurisdiction. And also, if you missed the first presentation and would like a copy of the presentation that we shared with you on Tuesday, feel free to email us at oshpd.ftdisu@oshpod.ca.gov. Again, if you missed the first part and would like a copy of those handouts, send us an email and we'd be more than happy to provide that for you. You are here for about a 30-minute presentation, which is going to allow for us to field your questions. So throughout the presentation, you're gonna see that we're gonna ask for your questions, we're gonna ask for your input, and we'll ask that you generously provide shared experiences that might help others who are looking to go down this IOR path. So again, feel free to raise your hand, clicking the hand next to your name, and we'll unmute you. So then unmute yourself, and we'll have an open mic discussion. Again, this presentation is meant to be an open mic discussion. So feel free to raise your hand and let us know what you're thinking. If we do have technical difficulties, we're going to go ahead and log off and log back in. So if you have technical difficulties on your end, please do the same. And go ahead and use the registration link that the GoToWebinar sent you prior to joining us today. Today, for announcers and presenters, we have Monica Colosi. She's a compliance officer with the Inspection Services Unit. So Monica, if you're there, the presentation is all yours.
Thank you, Caesar, and good afternoon to everybody. And first of all, thank you. Thank you so much for submitting the result of your homework, because this helps us to understand how we need to guide you and help you in order to see in the drawings what sometimes is not clear, like on the first equation. You need to remember that all this effort eventually will help you in the actual job site. So we are very happy to help you. Based on the number of the people that submitted the homework, which again was not an obligation to submit, maybe some of you provided the response and didn't submit to us. Again, was not an obligation to submit to us, but it helps. Everybody for who submitted answered correct to the homework number 2, but we noticed the struggle on the homework number 1. So let's go first with the homework number 1 and see the logic. And after that, I will provide the logic. Like Caesar said, raise your hand if you have any question, anything that you need to get clarified. Then we will go with the homework 2 and same process. In the end, raise your hand if you have any question. So the answer for the homework 1, what is the minimum clear opening height for knee space at the countertop in room 1A16 is the answer A. And for the floor finish for the operating room, the answer is C. So maybe some of you is scratching already the head, but let's go through. Which one is the process? Same process. First, you need to look into the master drawing index for the noted plan for which floor. The number of the room is 1A16, which means it's the first floor. And by now, if you started to look the PDF of the drawings, you see that there are 2 parts, Part A and Part B. So for the noted plan, the options will be Part A or Part B. And the drawing for the room 1A16 is A1.51A. So once selected the page and you enlarge the room, you can find an interior elevation callout, A8.01. And so far, everybody went to the same correct process. Now that you are on the detail, look for interior elevation for the specific room 1A16 and is the detail 1, right? So once we go there, you look the interior elevation and remember to pay attention into the additional information, and remember the question doesn't ask you the countertop height, but asks you for the knee space clearance. And do not rush to give the answer. The vertical dimension is what you need to look for the height for the knee space. You can see different information. You see the 2 feet and 10 inches, and you see the 2 feet and 6 inches. And most important, you need to look another call out, and it is highlighted in yellow. And it is the detail 9 in A8.52. So most of you, unfortunately, just stopped here and gave the answer 2 feet and 6 inch. But let's go to the detail 9, A852. What this detail provides, you can see the wood blocking. And so I provided in this detail, I rewrote the 2 feet and 10 inches. I rewrote the 2 feet and 6 inches. And I did the hatch in blue for the wood block, because of course the knee cannot go through the wood block. So the remaining is the knee space. And so 2 feet and 6 inches minus the 5.5 inches gives you the answer A. Any question?
Again, I want to remind everyone on this on this webinar that this is really intended to be an open mic session. So don't be shy, raise your hand, and I'm sure that if you have a question, maybe the person, I was going to say next to you, but maybe the next person has the same type of question, is just not willing to raise their hand. So again, if you have questions or if you want clarification or want to know how exactly Monica got to that, raise your hand and we want to have a discussion with you.
And if you're shy, you can email to us. That's, of course, is another option.
So I don't see any raised hands, Monica. So if you'd like to continue, that'd be great.
Okay. So let's go to the second question, which who submitted the responses were right. The floor finish for the operating room is, so this second homework, good job to everybody, to who submitted, you answer correct. And so what is, you need to go to the master drawing index, you need to look for the pattern plan, of course, you need to know where the OR are, and so you need to look, the floor plan is up to you which floor plan you wanted to look at. You can look direct to the pattern plan, like you can look the fire of safety plans. You need to identify where the rooms are. So once you identify where the rooms are, you will go to the pattern room, drawing, which is F2.01B. So at this point, you will see this OR operating room. You see the hatch, but you see also a symbol, and the symbol is called F18. But what does it mean? You need to look on the top right, there is the material legend. And on the material legend, you need to go through, sometimes the material legend has the hatch, the pattern detail, and sometimes there is just the name of the floor pattern. In this case is the F18. So what you need to do, you need to identify the F18 in the legend, and that is the answer. The answer is C. Questions?
Any questions out there? Any clarifications? Maybe even shared experiences that you'd like to share? I see Bradley, I see that you've raised your hand. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. So if you can unmute yourself, that'd be great. Bradley?
Hi, I just had a question about the drawings that are going to be used on the exam. These ones are really hard to read sometimes, and I notice I spend more time trying to, read through, just trying to read the room numbers and stuff. Is there going to be like a more current set for the exam?
So these are floor plans, drawings, set of drawings that are not going to be used for the exam, of course, because otherwise you were going to study already. Yes, we recognize these drawings are very old. And this is why from the next session of the exams, the drawings will be newer and probably easier to read versus these ones that are very old. Agree.
Great, thanks, Bradley. Glenn, I see that you have your hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. If you'd like to unmute yourself, that'd be great. Glenn?
Hi, yeah. Back to that first question about the knee space. When typically on plans, when something's an access compliance thing like that, it would be detailed a little bit more clearly than having to figure out the block size and deduct it from the elevation or the drawing there. So I just wanted to point that out. And at least in my experience, it's especially in an access compliance situation, it's called out a little bit more clearly than that.
That's of course, Glenn. Thank you so much for pointing out. But I don't recall if you follow the first part of this webinar. But we want to remind to everybody, set of plans are not perfect. Not always you find the perfect drawings where in construction you can go see what is in the reality and find the matching in the drawings, in the plans. Unfortunately, not always the drawings are perfect, and this is one of the examples.
That statement couldn't be truer. Thank you.
This is why during construction there are RFIs, right?
Hey, thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Glenn, and thank you everybody for raising your hand. Alexander, I do see that you have your hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. So if you can unmute yourself, that'd be great.
So my question for the pattern plan on the second question that we just did, the pattern plan identifies not only interior finishes pertaining to the floor. What other finishes does it identify if I'm going with the pattern plan?
Pattern plan. These are the right that I don't have here with me the master drawing. Oh yeah, I have. So I don't know if I can enlarge. Perfect. Can you see? Oops.
Yeah.
I don't know how to expand. I'm trying to do, so I'm holding with the fingers the screen. So what you need to do, and like Glenn on the other question said, the drawings never are the same, never are, most of the time are not perfect. And again, they change all the time. Not always you will find the pattern detail. You might find a different type of floor plans where it's just an enlarged scale, where you will see all this information. So it depends from project to project. What you need to do when you are for the exam, try not to be stubborn, try to be flexible, and don't think how it should be. Read what the master drawing index gives to you, because those are your ingredients, right?
Okay, thank you.
Great. We appreciate the interaction, everyone. Thank you for raising your hand, and we'll go ahead and call on you as we see the hands raised. Monica, there's a question in the question box that someone typed in, and the question is, where do I find the homework? I couldn't find it. Where can I look for them because they still want to do the homework?
Oh, so if you were not on the part A, the part one of the presentation that we did on Tuesday, there were the homework. We will be happy to send to you, so send to us the email, and we will send to you the PDF with the part one. And there you will find first of all, the 5 examples that we presented, and then these 2 homework.
Great, thank you. And again, that email address is oshpd.fdd@oshpd.ca.gov. And Monica, I don't see any more raised hands, so if you'd like to continue, that'd be great.
We are basically done because we went through the 2 homework. So remember, we are going to go each week with different discipline, and we will have this part 1 where we will go through few examples, which will be 5 because we like the number 5, and we will go through a logic. We will go through a process how to arrive to the specific answer for that question. In the end of the part 1, we will give the homework. Again, you don't have obligation to submit the answer. it will help you, but it's not mandatory. And then on Thursday will be a shorter webinar like this one, where we are going through the 2 homeworks. And again, both will be as an open mic, because the intent is to clarify what you have doubts. So don't feel shy. Always is going to be an open mic.
Yeah, true. That's very, very true, Monica. Thank you for mentioning that. This is truly an open mic session, not meant to be monotone, not meant to have you sit there and just listen to what we have to say. We want to hear from you. We want discussion. We want interaction. So with that, Paul, I see that you have your hand raised. I want to go ahead and unmute you. If you can unmute yourself, we'd like to hear from you, Paul.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my question. My question is that being that these plans that you've let us have are no longer being used in the OSHPD test, is there a chance that you might be able to release a bunch of sample questions from, such as these homework questions, these 2 that you've supplied, just so that we can have something to study with using this plan set?
You will use these plan sets that are not going to be used for the exam. Like I said, we are going through the different discipline. Ideally, if you participated to all of these plan reading, you will have all the discipline. So
right. But my question is specifically is there a possibility that you can issue sample questions more than 2 per discipline, or because I know the written part is 100, right? So is there a possibility that you might be able to release questions that were based on this plan set?
Of course. So the part 1, like I explained before, has 5 examples, and with these 2, we arrive to 7. We will be more than happy that if you have any specific question for whatever subject, email to us, and maybe we can do the 101. We can provide a specific question for you for some doubt that you have that is not on the 7 examples that we are showing. And like that, maybe you will get the clarification that you need, of course.
This is Joe LaBrie. If I can just chime in here a second. This is Joe LaBrie with ISU. If I can just chime in a bit. I think I'm understanding Paul's question to be, can you give us a pool of questions, as many as we can get?
Yes.
I think that's pretty reasonable. I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that, because the plans that are currently being used are now obsolete, and we're writing all brand new questions. Of course, we won't give you those. But
of course.
What we can release your way is, the pool of questions that we've used over the years for this set of plans, if that's what you're asking.
That's exactly what that would be great. That would be fantastic to have that.
Okay. So you would do more practice. Okay.
And then I remember when I was studying for the structural exam, that's what I would do, is I would just take problem after problem after problem, and 100 problems or something. And it went a long way in helping me get through the things I needed to understand. So it is a helpful exercise. These presentations are also intended to give you that, but it maybe doesn't do the deep dive that you want to do on your own, and that you could do if you had all those questions.
Right. So
okay.
That's something that you guys might be able to put together?
Yeah, well, let ISU let us talk about it among ourselves, and at the next session, if it's something we think we'll be able to pull together, we'll have it posted in the handouts. Right now, you see some of what we have posted in the handouts. It'll look something like that, that's attached. But we'll do some internal coordination on that. After this call, we'll go ahead and convene and discuss that a little bit further. But thank you for that. That's a great suggestion.
Thank you. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Paul, for raising your hand and asking the questions. We do have some questions that were typed into the go-to panel, Monica. So the first question that we'd like to get an answer to is, do any of the future classes go through code questions, or are they largely plan review type questions? That's from Brian.
Brian, thank you for asking. We are planning to do only the plan reading. On the part 1, we made one example for the code. It's something that probably we can consider as well, and probably make one webinar just for the code. We will talk the ISU, and we'll figure it out.
All right, great. And that would we have another question, and this has to do with the exams. Monica, maybe you know the date off the top of your head. What's the first day of the Los Angeles exam?
I think it's March. I can be wrong. I don't have on top of my head.
I'm looking for that right now. As soon as I find it, I'll type it in.
Very good. We can come back to that. And we have another question from Tim. Actually, no, it's more of a comment. He says, thank you for providing the possibility of the answers and the exam. So Denny Kong chimes in and says that the first date is April 19th. And I believe Joe is double checking that. We'll go ahead and confirm that once that is in. So I'm going to go ahead and look through the list of names and look for raised hands. And I see that Glenn, you have your hand raised again. That's awesome. Thank you for raising your hand. I'd like to unmute you. If you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I was just curious as to when we're going to get notification for test dates and approval of applications.
You will receive an email from Michelle Chica, whether you is approved or not.
Okay. Is there a timeline for that?
Shortly, because I see now the dates. Joy, if it's okay that I share the dates because I found.
Oh, by all means, please. Yep.
Right. So for Los Angeles, there are 2 weeks. One is April 19th through April 23rd, and then May 17th through May 21st. For Sacramento, will be April 5th through the 9th, and then May 3rd through the 7th. So shortly, you should start to receive the notification from us if it's approved or not, your application.
Great, thank you for that. I don't see any more typed in questions into the go-to panel, so I want to go ahead and encourage you to do so. Now is your chance to raise your hand and type in your question, or raise your hand in the go-to panel, just like Sean did. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Sean, and go ahead and unmute yourself. We'd like to go ahead and hear from you, Sean.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. So on the next go around on the plans, is there going to be a breakdown? Like there'll be like either a thumbnail describing what's in what section, like say architectural has 20 sheets and it'll break down versus what there was on the last go around, or is basically a 199 page download and you had to kind of figure out where everything was at?
We will have the thumbnails with the drawing number. So A1.52, whatever. So we'll have this type of thumbnails. We are not going to divide by discipline.
Okay, but you'll be able to, okay, so on the architectural, you'll see obviously 1 through 20, and then structural, you'll see 1 through 20, and vice versa.
You will see the A, the S, everything okay. With the typical.
Perfect. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you, Sean.
One thing.
Go ahead.
On March 30th, we are going to go through the exam process. So all of these technical questions about PDF and what is going to be on the PDF will be presented on March 30th. So please register for that webinar. We'll help you to feel more comfortable for the exam.
Yeah, and I do want to point something out regarding that webinar. If you signed up for that webinar a while ago and you got an email as to how to log in, make sure that that email and that login information is still valid. Only because we found that there was a technical issue with that registration link, and we've updated that link ever since. So if you registered recently, you're probably okay. But if you register for that a while ago, you might want to double check that, or even register again. That way you get the most current registration link for that actual presentation. So again, thank you for all that have raised your hand. We do have some more raised hands, and that's great. That's awesome. We want to hear from you. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Bradley. I'm going to unmute you. We'd like to hear from you.
And this is James, DSC, James Pine. Before Brady speak, I would like to share something with everybody. we have these 5 presentations, and they are breakdown to the disciplines. However, plain reading skill, and I want to put the stress on that it's never that easy, right? Our exam questions, I would say, is easy because it's per discipline. However, when you navigate through a set of drawings to find something that you need, at times you need to flip through many drawings and perhaps different disciplines, right? So usually you will have to start with the architectural sheets of drawings because that's where all the room numbers, the functions, and whatnot is shown on the architectural drawings. And from that, you find the other disciplines, whatever you need, right? So I'm one of the technical person that prepared questions, and at times that's what I want to test your knowledge on. It's never that easy to just find the answer in that one detail or that one sheet of drawings, because it will require you to navigate one additional sheet or two to find the answer. And I would say that's the fundamental, and that's the skill that you need to gain as an inspector and a good inspector. So that's my comment, and I would add the next person to speak and have the live discussion with us.
Great. Thanks, James. That's awesome information. Bradley, are you still there?
Yeah, so we sent our applications in on the 1st of February, and then I think I asked a question a couple of weeks ago, and you guys had said it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get the response back, which will be mid-April, and then the exams are mid-March. So I haven't bought any of the 2019 stuff yet because I was waiting to hear back my results. Is it always 4 to 6 weeks, or does sometimes you guys find out sooner? Because I was going to buy the new books and stuff.
So I can go ahead and answer that question, Bradley. So thank you for the question and comment. So typically it is 4 to 6 weeks, but to address your concern, and I'm sure others have the same concern about having to go out there and purchase standards and code books and so on and so forth. And we're going to go over this on the 30th, the instruction of IOR exams, what to expect during the exam. We'll share with you now, though, that you will be provided with all of the code books and all of the standards that you're going to need for the exam. So there's no need to purchase anything on your end. All you have to do is come into the exam room once you're approved and go ahead and sit down for the exam. We'll share with you that the exam is going to be on computer. It's going to be digital. You'll have 2 monitors and you have a computer to go off of. So the documents will also be in a PDF format. So, all of it's going to be there for you. You will not have to buy anything, unless you want to go ahead and buy it on your own accord, for studying purposes, of course. That's always up to you, up to your own discretion. But to actually do the exam, to participate and sit in the exam, those references and those code books will be provided for you.
Okay.
So
yeah,
we do have another.
I was mainly just referring to just the study-in portion. So, because on my current project, we're in 2016, and I just want to get more familiar with the California Administrative Code portion. I'm not super strong in that field. So, is there any risk in just getting familiar with the 2016 California Administrative Code and just kind of knowing how to navigate, and then the 2019? It's just whatever revisions happen.
Yes, Patty, to share with everybody, the codes are free online, and you can get them in the viewer at DSA's website, right, on DGS, and it leads you to the code committee's website. And I think ICC now, they even want to compete with the e-codes, so they do, place the codes on their website too. So I don't want people to think purchasing code to study and by having the acceptance that you are eligible to take the exam as the basis to continue studying, right? Myself, I've been in the field for 20 years now, and every day I still need to learn and retain my knowledge. So by saying that I don't want to buy the code because I'm not admitted for the exam, that's not a good reason. We need to get the codes, and those are free. The standards might not be easy to come by, and code changes and due to the standards. So you would need to find a way to get the standards. But all the codes are actually live on the internet now, and you can get them for free. So the admin codes, at times we do make changes. So there are some changes in the 2019. So you need to get familiar with those changes.
Great, James. Thank you so much. We do have a good question from Khalid. The question reads, what is the main codes to be followed for passing the exam? And what I'm reading is, what do you need to study for to pass the exam? And we want to go ahead and point out at this time that if you haven't done so already, you can visit our website at oshpd.ca.gov and go to the building and safety section on the left-hand side in that blue banner towards the top, and look for the hospital inspection services and certification section. That section right there, once you're in that web page, if you go all the way down, you'll see a list titled View Acceptable Reference Materials for Exam. That is your study guide. That is your study sheet. If you're looking for a list of things to study or things that you should be familiar with, that's the list that you're looking for, and it's a PDF document on our website. Again, that's listed under oshpd.ca.gov. And once you get to that page, in the blue banner all the way to the left, Building Safety and Finance, you click there, and then you go to the Hospital Inspection or Inspector Services. And once on that page, you go all the way down to the bottom. Actually, I'm sorry, take a step back. Once you're on the Hospital Inspection Services and Certification, click in the middle where it says Learn More About Hospital Inspector Certification Examination Information. And on that page, you go all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see a list of acceptable references or reference materials for the exam. So I hope that answers your question. If it's clear as mud to you, feel free to email us at oshpd.fddisu@oshpa.ca.gov, and we would be happy to walk you through that step and even answer more questions related to that. So we do have some more raised hands, and this is great, everybody. Thank you for doing that. Alexander, I see that your hand is raised. We'd like to go ahead and hear from you. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute you if you can unmute yourself, Alexander.
And real quick before Alexander, Caesar, by what Caesar say, if you go back that one step to that main OSHPD's homepage on education and whatnot, we have another unit is so-called the building standard units. We typically call them the reg units. All the code updates go through them, and they do have many webinars on code updates and cans and whatnot. And some of them have been recorded, or actually all of the webinars are recorded, and they have transcribed to the California standard to be published. So we do have like YouTube channels and whatnot, and those are recorded and being published. So as far as for code, you might want to look into that and continue, save that as your bookmark and, update that and go back to that web page and see what we publish and, and then register to those reg units webinars, to gain knowledge on code to assist you studying in the code, because code is not easy to read and understand what they meant. And, with our resources, by conducting some webinars to you, it will not guarantee you to pass the exam. So that's just my recommendation for the webinars and whatnot.
Great, thanks, James. Alexander, did you have your hand raised?
Yes. So thank you so much for all the information. On Tuesday, you guys were nice enough to provide a breakdown that there will be 12 architectural code questions and 7 architectural plan questions. So with the code section, that leaves 73, because I think it's 80 for code for me personally, because I'm taking the Class B exam, and then that would be a couple of more for the code section or for the plan section. My question is will you guys be able to provide a full breakdown, like, you know, when you're taking an ICC exam, of the percentage of questions for each discipline?
We will go through, I believe, on March 30th. You as a Class B, you will have 80 questions for code and 40 questions for the plans. Class A will have 80 questions for the code, 80 questions for the plans. And Class C will have the 20 question for the code, can be also 40 if they apply also for Anchorage Bracing and admin at the same time.
But the breakdown, for each class, you guys, for each discipline, are you guys going to kind of let us know what that is?
So Alexander, if I can answer, if I can kind of supplement what Monica just said. So I believe, Alexander, what you're looking for is a breakdown into each specific trade. For example, plumbing breaks it down into sanitary drainage, fuel piping, so on and so forth.
Yes.
ICC exams, and that's not something that we're going to provide. The breakdown that you've seen already, that's as far as we're going to drill down, as far as giving you the number of questions for the different types of exams, A, B, and C.
And then lastly, Caesar, the reasoning behind not having us to have our reference material, because I've never, for all the code, for all the certifications that I've taken tests for, I've never went blind in with, you know, completely blank reference materials like we're going to have when we go in for this computer-based test. What's the reasoning behind not allowing us to have our own approved reference material? Is it because of COVID?
Yes. Because of COVID, we went through the process, and this is what we're doing. Everything will be electronically, will not be any paper, any books provided by you bringing into the building. So yes, unfortunately, it's because of COVID. Will not be difficult, guaranteed, will not be difficult. When we had the last session of the exam back on, when was September, there were candidates that they were in panic, and after the exam they said, okay, it was not bad. So don't panic.
That's all due to COVID. Prior to COVID, it's always only materials that allow are the ones on the list, and you cannot share your books. However, due to COVID, everything is provided to you, and you know, kind of get used to how to use PDF because that's the future now, right? Everything's going to be electronic. We won't be carrying, you know, reference standards and code books anymore. So kind of used to, you know, kind of teach you how to, you know, yourself how to use Control F and put in bookmarks on the PDFs, even though our PDF will now have the bookmarks. But start kind of learning how to use bookmarks, you know, and highlights and whatnot, and save that on your own electronic versions, because that's the future based on what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and Alexander, that's a good question, and I'm sure others were wondering the same thing. So that's a good example of raising your hand and asking the question for others as well. James and Monica are right. We were lucky enough to be able to provide exams for you. And the only way that we were able to make it happen is because we said that no outside material was going to be brought in to minimize the risk of any kind of exposure to COVID and things like that. So we're doing what we can. We're doing this in this format, including the exams, to be able to have you certify under the office and be able to get your foot in the door to becoming an IOR. So, and as James said, it's more of a transition, right? You know, a lot of the codes now are on digital format, including NFPA, and you know, you have a subscription and all that good stuff. So it's just the way that we're moving forward, and we're looking to assimilate with the rest of the world. So I want to go ahead and call on Walid. I see that your hand is up, so I'd like to unmute you if you can unmute yourself, Walid.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Good, thank you for raising your hand.
Yeah, thank you so much and appreciate all the information we got for this session. And my question that I am coming from construction field, and I am civil engineer, and I need to fully prepared for this exam. So how you can guide me where to go, where can I register for the exam, whether I am eligible for the exam, any specific requirement for these exams, and if there is anything in the website showing that or nothing.
Great question, Waleed. And I'll go ahead and take this, team, if you don't mind. If you, Waleed, if you haven't done so already, that website that we mentioned earlier. So if you are on a computer and you type in oshpd.ca.gov and you go to the Building Safety and Finance,
Okay.
and then go to the Hospital Inspector Certification Examination, and where it says Learn More, under that link, you'll find that there is a slew of information regarding Class A, Class B, Class C, minimum qualifications, what to look for. You'll find our hospital inspector examination application form, and in that form, I can't remember if it's the second or third page. It breaks down as to how you can qualify for participating in the exam, whether it's the Class A, Class B, or Class C. But just remember that the minimum qualifications, those are all based off the California Administrative Code, Section 7-204, to qualify for the Class A, B, and C. And I'm not going to go over the specifics, but in the California Administrative Code, again, that's Section 7-204, that's going to outline the minimum requirements that are that we need, or that you would need in order for the participation in the exam. So again, if you have any more questions, go ahead and click that link that was provided in that text box in the question box of the go-to panel. Click that link and it'll take you right to there. Or you can email us at oshpd.ca.oshpd.ca.gov.
Okay.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, and my question, how be good fit? How we good prepared for this exam? The experience is enough, or we need to be familiar with all the codes you mentioned before?
Experiences.
Yeah, this is James. I heard you have a civil engineer's background.
Yes.
I would say you are guaranteed to fail if that's your background and you do not have inspection experience and other disciplines experience, because a certified hospital inspector class A could inspect everything and is required to inspect everything. For B is everything except structural. So for civil engineer background and myself, I'm a structural engineer and I will not be able to pass the exam because I know very little on other disciplines, right? So without some knowledge and experience from other disciplines, there's no way I will be able to pass. So to answer your question, it will be no if you do not have the experience from others, but you will be, probably eligible, but to pass or not, that's another issue, and you need to gain knowledge and experience from other disciplines, especially electrical, plumbing including medical gas, right, and then mechanical and architectural, which require accessibilities, and then our fire life safeties. So you need to have a broad base of knowledge from other disciplines, not just civil engineering, which is structural, right?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah, and to substantiate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Waleed.
Yeah, I am now 20 years in the field of construction, so I have good knowledge for the MEP, for the HVACs, for the different disciplines, not only civil engineering. But I need to be sure when I go to the exam, I am good to pass the exam. So since there is no any preparation material, just to go and to be familiar with the codes, and that, as you said before, is difficult. You have a knowledge. If you participate or if you practice that maybe before, you can know exactly where is the location. What is the paper you need to see or read. But if you didn't, there is no. That's why I am the other candidate also asked for if there is any specific preparation materials, include plans or questions or something we can just help us and give us more confidence to be go inside the exam more in deep.
Sure, and that's the challenge that I debate with my peers, because you guys will be the future, and you guys, are, when you became certified hospital inspectors, you are considered the top dogs in the field, right?
Yes.
Healthcare in California, that's the most essential, facilities and structures that we are working on. And that's why, similar to the structural engineer license exam that I took, there's no preparation materials, and it's just that difficult. And we want to challenge you to prove that you are, qualified and eligible to be, the next IOR. That's, our eyes and ears in the field. And that's why, it's difficult. And even if we give you all the past exam questions, that someone asked, it's not going to be guaranteed that you will pass this next upcoming exam, right? And that's why I want to kind of share with everybody that it is a continual education that we need to commit ourselves into, and continue self-improve ourselves. And to answer your question, Wally, the type of construction that OSHPD work on, especially for OSHPD 1, is type 1 or 2 construction, right? So many of you might not have that experience to qualify, is due to our regulations say type 1 or 2. Most residential commercial projects and even school projects are not type 1 or 2. And that's why, at times you might feel challenged why we are not being able to allow you to take the exam. And that's the one of the reasons here.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to substantiate that, and for it's now, the webinars have not passed, but we as ICU have been putting on some training webinars, how to become an IOR, if you will. And within those webinars, we give breakdowns, we give specific examples of questions, and so on and so forth. We had from January 12th to February 9th, we had 5 sessions of how to prepare for the exam, how to succeed as an IOR. So as the inspection services unit, as OSHPD as a whole, we're looking to help you get there and bridge that gap, if you will, as to how to better prepare for the IOR exam. But as James has pointed out, if you could have a civil engineering license or an architectural license, but if you don't have that experience, you're going to find it pretty difficult to be successful. The regulations do allow you to have a license of some sort, but it still requires you to have 2 years of experience of type 1, type 2 construction. If you're looking to apply for the Class A IOR exam, or you can have 6 years of type 1, type 2 experience as a architect, engineers, owners, local building officials, or general contractors representative in technical inspection of major and non-major structural elements. And you can also use education to substitute some of those years. So again, we encourage you to look at the California Administrative Code, Section 7-204, or look at our application package. That right there is going to give you a good guide as to how to qualify, and give you a good sense as to what you would have to do in order to be successful as a Class A, Class B, or Class C IOR within, certified under the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development. Michael, I'm looking through the list of names here, and I see that, Michael, you have your hand raised. So, Walid, is there anything else that you'd like to add, or can we move on?
Yeah, thank you so much for your all explanation, and for sure that encourage us for move forward to start on preparation and be good fit for the exam. And thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you, Walid, for offering your discussion. Michael,
to everybody, like I say, a set of drawings is multi-disciplines, and each design firm has their own, I guess, way to present something, right? And a set of drawings never been the same due to, the designers. So get yourself familiar with the plans and study them, gather more set of drawings, from the peers that you are working with, because each set of drawings will be different on how the designers are presenting, their design. And that's something that, I struggle about this plain reading presentation because to me this is the fundamental and basic requirements of an inspector. And I think maybe perhaps many of us in this room right now are spoon-feed due to the specific discipline that you are working with or working for. Someone is giving you the specific detail to inspect rather than give you the set of drawings, and you are required to navigate to that specific elements or detail to conduct your inspection. So that's why I keep on saying that, it's not that easy and to get a set of drawings and kind of study them and familiar, to yourself on how to interpret that 2D set of drawings into the 3D construction. That's the key elements here. Because when you take the exam, it will not be that easy, and even when you pass the exam in the real world, that's something that some of us have challenged on how to interpret a set of drawings which is 2D into the 3D environment. And that's why someone mentioned about the patterns, right? That master drawing has that index, and some are wall finishes, some are ceiling, some are floor finishes. Some designer they do it differently, right? It might be just shown on the floor plan, and the legend will have all the patterns and whatnot. And then on the interior elevation, that's where you will find the interior finishes. So each designers they have their different tests and their own office policy on how they want to present the set of designs and their documents.
Great, thanks, James. Thanks for that. Michael, if you are still there, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and it looks like you've already unmuted yourself. So, Michael, we'd like to hear from you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thanks for the opportunity. This is pretty much the study guide for me that I'm going through. But I did not sign up for this round. Just want to know when is the next round to send the application and sign up for the exam.
It's not published yet, but usually we have exam in April and October. And prior to the pandemic, we were considering to have, I guess, a total of 8 exam days. Every 2 months we will have an exam. But due to COVID, we will not be able to. So the next time it will be, I think, will be September or October of this year.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
But in the future, after the pandemic, we will have, exam and more opportunities for you guys to take the exam. However, keep in mind that our hands are tied due to the regulations. Once you fail the exam, you will not be able to take the exam for a period of 6 months minimum. So keep that in mind.
And that's why I didn't sign up this round to prep up. I can assume that I need at least 6 months to prep up for the exam.
That's in the regulation, and it's not something that we make up. So
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and if Michael, you're looking to prepare, and others who are on this call are looking to prepare, or if you know someone who is interested in it, wants to prepare, we highly encourage you to log on to our website and look at our our webinars that we have coming up. As James had pointed out, there's a regs team or a building standards unit, that's the new name. They provide code update presentations, things that are changing within the code. They sit there and they provide an hour-long presentation on what's changing in the code, including triennial cycle code changes. And they also present or provide you with PDF copies of that as well. If you scroll down that page a little bit further, you'll find that there's the inspection services unit. And in the inspection services unit, you'll find that we have preparation exams. We have, or not exams, but presentations. We have presentations on how to prepare for the IOR exam, what to expect. We even go as far as, James briefly pointed out, show you the basics, the fundamentals of plan reading as we're doing so far. So if you're interested or if you're looking to get prepared and study, go ahead and join or log on to the oshpd.ca.gov website and look at what we have to offer as far as information. And if you have any other questions, feel free to email us at oshpd.ftdisu@oshpd.ca.gov. I want to go ahead and encourage more discussion, but I don't see any more hands raised. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the list of names a once over to see if anyone else would like to chime in and have a discussion, or I'm also going to look at the actual question box in the go-to panel to see if there's any more questions. And I don't see any other questions that have not been answered. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, no, wait a minute. I take that back. Paul, I see your hand raised. I see that you are self-muted as well. So please unmute yourself, and we'd like to hear from you, Paul.
Yeah, really quickly. Thanks again for putting this on. So I remember prior to you guys going to the PDF computer format for this test, that the passing rate on this for the A was pretty low. It was something like 20%. 2 out of every 10 people passed. And I'm wondering, since you've implemented the computer testing, has the percentage gone up or down or the same or?
I can answer this one. I can take this one. This is Joe Labrie with ISU. Actually, the pass rate was more like 5% or 10%.
Okay. So I was being a little bit okay.
It was bad, and partly and largely because of the set of plans that have been used are old and so on and so forth. It has a style to it that makes it particularly difficult. Anyways, in our last go around, we did see marked improvement. Between closer to 50% pass rate now, as opposed to what we saw before at 5% or 10%. So Wow. It's getting better, and we want to see it get even better. And we believe with the new set of plans that you guys will be using for your exam, we'll see even a better pass rate. And that's what we want more than anything, is more of you guys out there serving the needs of the hospitals.
Well, thank you.
You bet.
Great, thanks, Paul. And to kind of add on to what Joe said, just know that contrary to what you may have heard in the past, ISU is here to help you. So feel free to reach out to us, and if there's anything that you can suggest or that you think we can do, if it's within our limits, if it's within our jurisdiction, we'd be happy to entertain those new ideas as to how to get better information or more information out there for you to succeed as an IOR. Keith, I see that you have your hand raised. I see that you are also self-muted. So if you'd like to unmute yourself, we'd like to hear from you, Keith.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks again. The changes that ISU has been making, it's really helpful. I went through the process to get my C a couple years ago, and I see much more interaction. It's really helpful. I wanted to double up on that request for additional practice questions. That would be a huge help. And then I just wanted to ask, I had heard from a friend of mine. He had mentioned that there was a idea that you might have to pass the B before you be qualified for the A. Is that true, or can I go directly to the A?
Well, I'll go ahead and take this one. That's not necessarily true. If you meet the minimum qualifications to take the A exam, you're more than welcome to apply for the A exam. And real quick, again, I know I've mentioned the code section already, but in the CAC, or the California Administrative Code, section 7-204, if you look, there's 4 ways to qualify for the Class A IOR exam. And one of those, you need a high school graduation or equivalent, and 6 years of experience involving building projects of type 1 or 2 construction as an architect, engineers, owners, local building officials, or general contractors representative in technical inspection of major structural and non-structural systems in those buildings. And you may substitute education that's construction based on a year-for-year basis up to 2 years. You also can have a license, a California registration or license as a mechanical, electrical, or civil engineer, and 2 years of experience involving building projects of type 1, type 2 construction, and so on and so forth. And there's more than that, but so I'm not gonna read it. But there's other ways to qualify for the Class A IOR exam. You don't necessarily have to be a Class B first and then work your way up.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's something that we have discussed internally. However, until the regulation is changed, you do not need to worry about it. So far, it's just like Caesar say, all the way to get in are in 7204. So 4 ways to get in for A and B, right? And then C is just either the certs and 2 years of experience.
Great, thank you. We do have another comment from Anthony. He's asking how the things of a academy, how things are going with the academy. We'll tell you that we are working on the academy. We have an idea of what we're looking to do. We're just looking to formalize it. So for those on this call who are not aware of an IOR academy, the OSHPD is looking to present an IOR academy to be able to get individuals who are interested in becoming an IOR, get their foot in the door. And they can more or less, shadow a current IOR per se and learn the ropes that way. So that's not something that's been formalized, but it is something that we're working on along with the ETIO. If you've been in the industry and are aware of the test inspection and observation program, we're also looking to make that digital as well. So we're working on that, but stay tuned for more to come.
Yeah. Caesar, can I add to that? Although I don't know if we've answered Keith's question yet. He has his hand up, but I want to add to that, but I don't want to do. Okay, Keith just ended. So I think we're probably going to end the seminar right pretty soon. But so do me a favor here, if you will, since the question came up about this academy, because we are working on that, as Caesar said. Do us a favor, and again, we're working on putting together a pilot program for this academy. If there would be any part of some interest of anybody who is on this call right now, just raise your hand so ISU can have a sense about whether or not there's interest in something like that. Again, just raise your hand. We're not going to call on you. This is only for us to get a sense about how interested you would be in something like an IOR academy. So I see I don't know, maybe 50% of the hands raised show some interest in that. So thank you for that. You can put your hands down. I appreciate that input. That helps us.
Yeah, and that's great input. And again, if you know someone who would like to maybe be part of that, spread the word. Let them know that we're working on something, and to keep an eye out by visiting our website frequently to learn more information. And if you'd like to receive notifications, email notifications from the Inspection Services Unit, you're more than welcome to subscribe to our listserv, if you will, by going to our website and clicking subscribe on the upper right-hand corner, and provide your email address, of course, and information, and then you'll have an option to click on what you want to learn about. And what you'll find that under the Building Safety and Financing section, there's a inspection services update. So you might want to click on that and subscribe to get notifications, not only about trainings, but other important information that we will have coming out for you. So as Joe said, we're running out of time. If you have questions that you feel didn't get answered, or we didn't get to your question specifically, feel free to email us at oshpd.fdd@oshpod.ca.gov. And real quick, today we uploaded the PDF copies of today's presentation and the tips for the experts guide for working on projects under OSHPD's jurisdiction for your use and download. On February 23rd, we'll be going over structural part 1. February 25th, we'll go structural part 2. March 9th and 11th, we're doing mechanical plumbing part 1 and 2. March 16th and 18th, we're doing electrical part 1 and 2. March 23rd and 25th, we're doing fire life and safety part 1 and 2. And then March 30th, it's going to be instruction of IOR exams, what to expect during the exam. And we're going to go over the format, what to expect, the hardware, the software, how to go about it, searchable features, if you will, on those PDFs. And again, we want to go ahead and let you know that this concludes our presentation for today. We truly want to thank everyone who was courteous enough to raise your hand and have that discussion, ask questions, because that's really what we're here for. We're here to help you out and help answer any questions that you might have, and encourage you to apply and become part of this IOR world. So Again, we want to thank you for your interest in becoming a certified inspector of record with the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development. So until next time, be sure to stay healthy and stay safe.